Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series on Savitri with our beloved Ranga. We are in Book 1, Canto 3, The Yoga of the Soul's Release, page 43, beginning with the line, Once Only. Once only, registering the heavy tread of a blind power on human littleness, life now became a sure approach to God. Existence, a divine experiment, and cosmos, the soul's opportunity. The world was a conception and a birth of spirit in matter into living forms, and nature bore the immortal in her womb, that she might climb through him to eternal life. His being lay down in bright, immobile peace, and bathed in wells of pure spiritual light. It wandered in wide fields of wisdom self, lit by the rays of an everlasting sun.
We should remember that this whole canto is describing Ashtapadi's experiences. He is now in the higher planes of consciousness. He is in level 2, the spiritual planes of consciousness. And all the experiences that he is being having, he is explaining. And also not only the experiences in the spiritual planes of consciousness, but also digging deep into the inconscient and finding the mystery of matter and the solution to the mystery of matter. He is finding all these things. Above the superconscious, the light is coming down, and here also he is discovering the secrets of darkness. What is the darkness? In the connection also he is seeing that the connection is there.
But I think in these lines, it's the experience of existence as a divine experiment.
Yeah, so we'll read that now. Yeah, that's right. Existence, a divine experiment. Leela, play. Okay. So, once only registering the heavy tread of a blind power on human littleness, life now became a sure approach to God. Once means in the past. In the past, that which was a very heavy tread, a very difficult journey, constantly you are making an effort. But now it's not like that anymore. Life has become a sure approach to God. So his experience is in the spiritual planes of consciousness. When you are not there and you are here in level 1, you are struggling. And it's a heavy tread. The going is very difficult, not easy. So once only the registering the heavy tread of a blind power on human littleness. You are very, very frail and you are very weak. And you have to struggle. Heavy tread is the struggle and slow going. But now, because he is in the higher planes of consciousness, life now, you have to contrast once and now. Once was in the past, but now. Life now became a sure approach to God. Existence became a divine experiment. Srimda doesn't repeat the verbs. In prose also he doesn't do that, and here of course he can't do that because he'll spoil the rhythm. So, existence became a divine experiment. You have to repeat the word became. Okay? So, and cosmos became the soul's opportunity. That's how you have to read it. The world was a conception and a birth. Now this is what we have to understand. He has been having touches of the supermind. We have seen that already. Okay? The eternal light, some rays of the light are coming from the supermind into the spiritual planes of consciousness. And what he means by conception is the archetype of everything built in the world is there in like a blueprint. And he calls it the real idea. That is the conception. I conceive I am going to make a lotus, but it's not yet become a manifested reality. And then it becomes a reality. Just as I usually give the example of the architect wants to build a building, he makes a plan first. It's not the building yet. So the plan, the blueprint, is the conception. And then it becomes a form.
So it is the divine's conceiving
Yes,
of creation.
yes, absolutely. And creation, not only creation, but all the forms in the creation. Each form is a
yes,
real
yes,
idea in the
Yes.
in the divine conception, and that's in the supermind. And then it becomes a living form. Okay? No, sorry, birth. The same thing. It takes birth. It manifests itself. Birth is a manifestation.
Yes.
So what is a archetype there becomes a physical fact here. That's what it means. Okay? The world was a conception and a birth. A birth of what? Of spirit in matter into living forms. Not dead forms necessarily, but living forms, including stones. They are living because the divine presence is there. That's what is meaning. Of spirit in matter into living forms. And nature bore the immortal in her womb. Now, he is again talking of the transcendent, the cosmic, and the individual. This is a gradation. The transcendent is above the universe. And it is there that the conception takes place. And it becomes now ready for manifestation in nature, which is the womb. Nature is the cosmos, is the womb from which the physical world comes out. Again, we have that conception of the Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is the golden womb.
Yes.
The subtle world is the womb from which the physical world comes out. So, three levels. First, the conception, then the possibility of manifestation, the womb, and then the birth.
In form.
In form. These are forms,
Yes.
physical forms. But they are living, he's saying.
Yes.
Because the divine presence
Yes.
is there. When you have the experience of the divine presence everywhere, you see that everything is living.
How do these lines vary from pantheism?
Oh, pantheism is the same. Yeah.
It's
You
the
see
same.
the divine presence
Yeah,
everywhere.
in everything, yes. Okay.
You see the divine presence everywhere. So, nature bore the immortal in a womb that she might climb through him to eternal life. Now, that's interesting. Who is the him? He is the individual, he is Ashwapati. So, nature, this idea he has given in many places. He says that before man came on the scene, nature's evolution was very slow, laborious, taking millions of years. But now, nature is a way of saying, impatient with her own rate of progress, with her speed, she gives birth to man. And now, through man, she will go much faster.
So it can be accelerated
Yes, that's right.
because of man.
Yeah, because man can now do the yoga consciously. Earlier, the yoga was being done by nature unconsciously, mechanically. So that's why he says the advent of man in the universe is of crucial importance. It's a turning point for the manifestation of the supermind.
Turning point for the
It's a
manifestation
turning point.
of
Earlier it
superman.
was mechanical, slow, but now it is fast
Yes, yes.
and conscious.
Mm.
So, that she might climb through him to eternal life. His being, Rashtrapati's being, lay down in bright, immobile peace. Now, note the word bright means light. There is light. And immobile peace is very clearly the Brahmic consciousness. There is peace and you are immobile, no action. And that's why the word lay down is very interesting. Because you're not sitting up and ready to act. You're just lying down peacefully. So it is consistent in the imagery. Okay, so lay down in bright immortal peace and bathed in wells of pure spiritual light. So
There's a line in Savitri. She dug out wells.
that's right.
It's the same feeling
Yes.
of wells.
Yeah. I didn't give the reference
In
here.
darkness's core, she dug out wells of light.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
in the darkness. That's right. Bathed in wells of pure spiritual light, and it wandered in wide fields of wisdom self.
Alliteration.
Pardon?
Alliteration.
Yeah. Wandered wide wisdom. Alliteration. It wandered in wide fields of wisdom self. Okay. Then, and he is bathing in that light, but it is lit by the rays of an everlasting sun. The everlasting sun is very clearly the supermind. First of all, is the sun. The sun is the representative of the supermind. Okay? And everlasting, very clear. So it's a supermind. But he is below, he is not experiencing supermind, but he is lit by the rays of the supermind. He is getting a touch of the supermind even in the lower planes.
Because it's still the soul's release here.
Yes, that's right. So, okay.
But
Lit by the... Yeah,
sorry.
now you have to read further.
Even his body's subtle self within could raise the earthly parts towards higher things and feel on it the breath of heavenlier air. Already it journeyed towards divinity, upbuoyed upon winged winds of rapid joy, upheld to a light it could not always hold. It left mind's distance from the truth supreme and lost life's incapacity for bliss. All now suppressed in us began to emerge.
So, that is the summary of the whole passage. All now which he was not seeing, and it is inherent in him and involved in him, is now beginning to emerge. So, beautiful lines. We'll have a look at what he's saying.
Thus came his soul's release from ignorance, his mind and body's first spiritual change. A wide God knowledge poured down from above, a new world knowledge broadened from within. His daily thoughts looked up to the true and one. His commonest doings welled from an inner light. Awakened to the lines that nature hides, attuned to her movements that exceed our ken, he grew one with the covert universe. His grasp surprised her mightiest energy springs. He spoke with the unknown guardians of the worlds. Forms he descried, our mortal eyes see not. His wide eyes bodied viewless entities. He saw the cosmic forces at their work and felt the occult impulse behind man's will. This is his first release from ignorance.
Yes. Thus came his soul's release from ignorance. So now he is definitely, he is settled in the spiritual planes of consciousness, and is receiving light from the supermind. So no more ignorance, no falling back to the lower level. Earlier he has told us that sometimes he was falling.
Yeah, I couldn't hold it always.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so upheld. And upheld to a light it could not always hold. His mind and body's first spiritual change. Okay. Thus came his soul's release from ignorance, and his mind and body's first spiritual change came. You have to add the word came, then you will understand. Okay. A wide God knowledge poured down from above. See? From above, he is saying, that's a vertical, going up in the spiritual planes of consciousness. But also, a new world knowledge broadened from within. So, this is the horizontally the psychic, and that is the self. So, the psychic being is giving him world knowledge, and the other is giving him God knowledge.
So vertical
Note that.
is God
Yeah.
knowledge, yes.
That's pure knowledge of the immortal, the self. And this is the world knowledge, the knowledge of the life and mind planes of consciousness. So this is the world knowledge. You know how the vital planes are working, the forces, and also the mind planes. So that's the difference. That's the God knowledge and world knowledge. Okay? His daily thoughts looked up to the true and one. Now this is very interesting line. Daily thoughts, very ordinary thoughts. Oh, I have to go to the market and get something. I have to meet somebody else. Okay, it is time to go to knowledge. All these are very daily thoughts. But they now reflected, the daily thoughts now reflected, looked up to the true and the one. Constantly the memory of the higher planes of consciousness is there even in his ordinary works. That's what is meaning. In Savitri he has said about the remembrance of the divine. So even everything that is there is now being interpreted in the light of what he has seen above. That's what it means. They are not anymore daily thoughts. They are all linked to the true and one. His commonest doings, again you see the daily thoughts is very similar to the commonest doings, welled from an inner light. Even what he is doing, the most ordinary physical works and vital works and mental works, is all being arranged and inspired from above. Nothing is from the lower. Now everything is coming from the top. He is constantly being guided from above. Okay. His commonest doings welled up from an inner light, awakened to the lines that nature hides. Now that's very interesting sentence again. Awakened to the lines that nature hides. Nature is full of forms and lines. Sri Aurobindo often uses the word lines for forms because every form has got lines, well defined lines. Also Sri Aurobindo uses the word dimensions. Forms have dimensions. Dimensional world he calls it. Okay, because there are no dimensions. It's infinite, wide. And also sometimes he uses the word geometrizes. Gives definite forms and lines. So the word lines refers back to all this, his way of thinking. Lines, dimensions, and geometrizes. So all these are his words he uses. So that's what he means. So he awakened to the lines that nature hides. Nature is behind the form. Nature is hiding the divine presence, but now we can see that. That's what he's saying. Attuned to her movements that exceed our ken. Her movements, nature's movements. Behind nature's movements, he is also seeing the divine consciousness.
But it still exceeds our knowledge.
Yeah, because we don't see.
Yeah.
Our knowledge is a common knowledge.
Yeah.
So it is much more than that. So, attuned to her movements that exceed our ken, he grew one with you said covert.
Covert is the British pronunciation.
I see, okay. I usually said
Covert
covert.
is an Americanism.
Like overt and covert. How is overt pronounced? Is it avert? No.
Overt?
Overt is opposite of covert. How is it pronounced?
Overt. Overt.
Overt. But this is covert.
Covert.
Okay.
Yes.
The inconsistencies of the English language.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And his grasp surprised her mightiest energies, springs. So he understood so much of nature that nature herself is surprised. How much you understand me? That's what he's saying. Okay? He's saying his grasp. Grasp means you have to take it in the sense of understanding.
Yes, his understanding.
His understanding,
yes,
okay?
Yes.
His understanding of nature's secrets is surprising nature herself, okay? Her mightiest energy springs. Surprised her mightiest energy springs. He spoke with the unknown guardians of the world. Now, these are all
talk about that.
The guardians of the world are all the beings that live in the different planes of consciousness. In the vital world, we have elves and gnomes. In the mental worlds, we have angels. We have kinnar. In the West, they call them angels. They are all in the mental planes of consciousness. Then in the spiritual planes of consciousness also, you have all these beings are there. At the overmind level, there are the gods. And there is an arrangement of all this. Even the gods have got their servants. They have got their, that's right.
Of course, yes.
In fact, we discussed the other day, there is the architect of the world, he has used the word. So it is the Vishwakarma. He is the one who builds the world. Vishwakarma. There is also a carpenter, divine carpenter. There are also divine physicians. The Ashwins, the twins, are physicians to the gods. It's interesting.
Very interesting.
In fact, Mother says that in one of her agenda, I think you were saying it was time for Srimdo's lunch. So somebody was saying, maybe not you. But even that is there. So all the activities that are there in the physical world are there reproduced in a subtle form in the subtle worlds. So even there is lunch also there. Okay, so his grasp surprised her mightiest energy springs. He spoke with the unknown guardians of the worlds. Forms he descried. Our mortal eyes see not. Descry, the word descry means to see with difficulty or see details that cannot be seen easily.
That's how I understand it.
Yeah,
yes.
there are two meanings. And the second meaning is apt here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To see details that cannot be seen by normal eyes. He could now see all those things which mortal eyes see not. His wide eyes bodied viewless entities. Now that's very interesting sentence again, oxymoronic. Okay?
Yes.
Viewless entities, invisible, viewless because subtle. But his eyes are now bodying them, in giving them a form.
Yes.
So those things which are invisible to our eyes, he is seeing them clearly.
Yes.
He is giving them a body. Okay, we read further.
Beautiful line. He
He saw the cosmic forces at their work. That's what he means by even nature was surprised at his knowledge of how she is working. Okay, he saw the cosmic forces at work and felt the occult impulse behind man's will. Because everything now is being guided from above. So he could see that.
Time's secrets were to him an oft-read book. The records of the future and the past outlined their excerpts on the etheric page, one and harmonious by the Maker's skill, the human in him paced with the divine. His acts betrayed not the interior flame. This forged the greatness of his front to earth, a genius heightened in his body's cells that knew the meaning of his fate-hedged works, akin to the march of unaccomplished powers beyond life's arc in spirit's immensities. Apart he lived in his mind's solitude, a demigod shaping the lives of men. One soul's ambition lifted up the race. A power worked, but none knew whence it came. We'll stop there.
So, very interesting images again. Time's secrets were to him an oft-read book. Now, when he uses the word time, he is meaning in the physical world. Time and space always refer to the physical world.
Because they're measurable.
That's right. Because there's no time there. It's
Right,
eternity.
right.
Eternal and time. So, time's secrets were to him an oft-read book. So, in other words, he knows them fully well.
Yes.
He knows the secrets of time fully well. Okay, so the records of the future and the past. So everything is stored. We know that. In
The Akashic records.
Yes, the Akashic record, they are in the subliminal, the intraconscient. Everything is recorded. Nothing is ever lost. Nothing. Okay, ever lost. And that's very interesting because in sadhana also, in your yoga, you have the same problem. All the imperfections that you have collected through all your lives are there with you and they don't disappear. You are rejecting them, but they go down. Okay, they go down and they remain there forever, but they are suppressed in the inconscient.
Now, what if they are fully purified?
The upper part is purified. Your mind is purified. Your vital is purified. Your even body may be purified. But all those things which are rejected from mind, life, body are
Still
present
there.
in the inconscient.
Yeah.
The inconscient is the storehouse of everything in the physical world. But in a not open form, but condensed form. They're there. This is, I told you, it's a very interesting. Temiben told me. Temiben, her skin was not a good. You remember that. She used to have a lot of trouble with the skin. So she told mother. And mother said, and this is there in yoga, it's a common thing. When you reject something from the mind, it goes down into the lower. It doesn't disappear. It goes down into the vital. When you disappear, when you abolish something from the vital, your desires, your attachments, they go down into the body. And so those things appear in the body. Then, if you reject it from the body also, if you are capable of, which is very difficult, they go down into the inconscient and remain there forever. So that's the... So these records of the future and the past is exactly that. But they are also future also. You know what's going to come. Because before an event occurs in the physical world, it is first planned above and then it comes down in stages and then it becomes a fact here. But by the time it comes down here, if you are here, you are seeing the future. That's how Sri Aurobindo could say in 1920, India will be free.
India will be free, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what you see. But when it comes down here, it can take different forms. That's why Sri Aurobindo said the exact Pakistan will disappear. The partition will end. But it can take any form. The exact form of union is not important. It can take any form. It could be a merging into the, what you call the undivided India, or it could be a federation,
Yes.
or it could be like Europe, a European Union. No borders, but distinct entities and distinct countries.
Now, because Mother had Trikala Drishti, when she looked at a person, of course she would see past and present.
Yes.
Would she see only future possibilities?
Oh, yes.
Only those, but
Yes.
not exactly what would happen.
That's right.
Right.
There can be variations.
Yes.
There can be variations. That's right. So, the records of the future and the past outlined their excerpts on the etheric page. Now, etheric page is the Akashic records. Okay. So, now, this is a very interesting image that he has used. The page and the excerpts on the page.
Yes.
The one is the page and the excerpts are the many. So he is seeing the whole thing.
Yes.
Okay. In another place also, he has given the same image in different words. If you remember, he says, the letters and the word
stood out.
You remember that line?
Yeah, the letters stood out of the unmoving word.
That's right.
Yes.
So the word is the one.
Yes.
And the letters are the many. Look at the images that he uses. The same thing here, the page and the excerpts from the page. Fantastic. So, then, outline the excerpts of the etheric page. One and harmonious by the Maker's skill, the human in him paced with the divine. So this reminds you of the story of Indra and Kutsa in the Rig Veda, where they are traveling in a chariot going to heaven. And Kutsa is the human being, and Indra is the
God.
God. By the time they come to heaven, the transformation of the human has taken place, and he has put on the nature of the divine. So they become indistinguishable. Only Indra's wife can make out who is who,
Yes.
because she is absolutely pure. Now that also is very similar to the chariot in which Arjuna and Krishna are riding. Same thing. In other words, it's a symbol of the divine in you. Your body, mind, life is a chariot. And your psychic being is there, but the divine also is there in you. This is the image. Okay, so now the human in him paced with the divine. His acts betrayed not the interior flame. Now, what exactly does this line mean? The interior flame is there and his actions are there, but there is a perfect correspondence between them. His acts are not betraying the light that is there inside him. In other words, there is no inconsistency between the inner light and his outer, which happens in normal cases when you are in the spiritual plane of consciousness. The old nature continues. Rishis get angry, okay, and this sort of thing. So there is a betrayal. The higher is being betrayed by the lower. But here there is no betrayal. That's what it's meaning. I give you one or two instances. Okay, there was a gentleman who, Champak Lal has lived with Sri Aurobindo so long, and yet he gets angry. So someone complained to Sri Aurobindo that Champak Lal gets angry very easily, and Sri Aurobindo says, "Oh, you don't know that? his temper is there. In fact, it is very interesting, his temper. From where it comes? Someone one day went to him and said, I would like to see mother, but I don't want to disturb her. These are the words he used. Champak Lal got furious. You think you have the capacity to disturb mother? Who the hell are you? How can you disturb mother? She is never disturbed. So, this is a line that says that his acts betrayed not the interior flame. So, what is inside him, the truth, and the outside his acts are absolutely consistent with each other. No betrayal. This forged the greatness of his front to earth. The word forge is interesting again, because forge is an image. He often uses images in one word. The forge is the casting of a machine part in a mold.
Yes.
So now his greatness was forged of his front to the world. The front to the world is his physical body and his actions in the physical body. They have been, his greatness is being forged to the world, is being revealed to the world. So now, a genius, we read that, no? So a genius heightened in his body's cells. Now the word genius is interesting. It doesn't always mean a person. Okay, I checked up today itself. So the first meaning is a person having special powers. Okay, but it also means exceptional power and intelligence.
Well, Mother speaks of the genius of the species.
That's right. So exactly the same thing. Exceptional powers and intelligence. And the person who is in that also is referred to as a genius. So this is a genius heightened in his body's cells. In other words, what he is seeing the highest is acting even at the bodily cells. So this is very interesting, because this is exactly what happened to mother. No? Each cell is actually aspiring for transformation. In the agenda, very clear. Then that knew the meaning of his fate-hedged works. Now, he is working in the physical world, and in the physical world, the law of fate applies. So, fate-hedged. You are bound to your fate.
Yes.
You're bound to your fate.
Yes.
But he's saying they knew the meaning. So when fate is being is subjecting your acts, you know why it is happening. He knew the meaning of the fate-edged works.
But it's the genius that's in his body
That's
cells
right.
that knew that meaning.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, so then akin to the march of unaccomplished powers. That's the meaning he's giving. He's explaining the earlier line. Akin to the march of unaccomplished powers. The powers which are there have not yet been accomplished. That's why there is bondage here. So when the bondage goes, they will be accomplished. So that's what it means. Okay. Beyond life's arc in spirit immensities, apart he lived in his mind's solitude. A demigod shaping the lives of men, one soul's ambition lifted up the race. Now that's a very interesting line because he knew, he writes to Mrinalini that I know that I have the power in me to lift up this fallen race. The Indian nation had fallen 200 years after the British rule and the Mughal conquest and all that. It had reached rock bottom. Now slowly it's rising up again, and he says, I know I have the power in me to raise this fallen race. So that's what he's saying here. One soul's ambition lifted up the race. There is another line also there, which is very similar to this. We'll see that.
A power worked, but none knew whence it came. The universal strengths were linked with his, filling earth's smallness with their boundless breadths. He drew the energies that transmute an age. Immeasurable by the common look, he made great dreams a mold for coming things, and cast his deeds like bronze to front the years. His walk through time outstripped the human stride. Lonely his days, and splendid like the sun's.
Now, I should mention here that these lines have been selected by Mother for Savitri music and painting. A genius heightened in his body cells, and one soul's ambition lifted up the race. Then, this line also she has selected for, he drew the energies that transmute an age. This line also she has selected for transmute an age. Completed change of consciousness. So, a power worked, but none knew whence it came. Okay. Now that's very interesting because this is exactly very reflective of what happened to Churchill in Parliament during the Second World War. He was so sure of victory that even when his generals were telling him that it's better to negotiate now with Hitler, he said, no, I won't. I'm sure we will win. Because Sri Aurobindo was giving his force to him, and he says in Parliament, he said that I know that there is a force working for us, but he didn't know from where it came.
No.
So that's exactly what is.
And I had heard that Sri Aurobindo put words into Churchill, but that I'm not sure about that. And Aurobindo Basu said, is it absolutely certain that he put the words in, or was it just the concept?
No, it's difficult to say that. You
Yeah.
can't say for certain.
Yeah.
But that speech which he gave, we shall fight them on the beaches, we shall fight them in the air, we shall fight them on the seas, with such power. That is a fantastic speech. So maybe.
I think it was Sri Aurobindo's influence.
Yes, that's right, but not the exact word.
Exactly. Yeah.
A power worked, but none knew whence it came. The universal strengths were linked with his. Okay, so the individual is now completely in harmony with the universal, feeling a smallness with their boundless breadths. He drew the energies that transmute an age. The last 4 lines, 5 lines maybe,
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. Immeasurable by the common look. In other words, ordinary people will not be able to gauge him. They will not be able to understand his greatness. Immeasurable.
The world didn't know Sri Aurobindo.
That's right. Even now they don't know him.
Even now.
Yeah. He made great dreams a mold for coming things. Again, an image here. Mold and cast his deeds like bronze to front the ears. You referring back to the forge. Okay?
Yes.
So again the same image. Great dreams mold for coming and cast his deeds like bronze to front the ears. His walk through time outstripped the human stride. Lonely his days and splendid like the sun's. So this is the end of the Canto 3. Next is the Canto 4, where is secret knowledge. So now he has got the secret knowledge will be the next time we will take that up.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ranga. Namaste.